everybody, this is Kevin and welcome back to the next episode in our DeAgostini Lotus Renault 97T build. I will have to preface this video by saying, if you remember last episode, we only did one stage, which was number 27, because I was missing 28. Now, trying to be smart and be ahead of the game, I off camera went and opened up 29 because, let me show you 29 real quick. 29 has some what looks like engine blocks or cylinder heads or something, and they mount onto a black unit, like a black rectangle that 28 was supposed to supply. So I took the block out and made some measurements so I could print my own little black whatever this is. I don't even know what it is, but and I got it to, I printed the right size. It took me hours to design and measure and fit and everything. And I was so excited that, okay, I said, even though they don't send me number 28, I can produce number 28. So I got it all done. And then the next day I got an email from DeAgostini saying, congratulations, your next package is in the mail. We're sending, it's up in the 50s by now. But in addition to the 50s, we're going to send you stage 28. Wonderful. After all the time I spent working on this little guy, but that's okay. I learned how to 3D print better. But here's 28, and it comes with the rectangular pieces that I tried to replicate, as well as some other things that I didn't even attempt to try. So we're back on schedule. I got 28. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to do 29 and 30 like we normally would have, but because we didn't do 28 last time, we're going to do it this time. So I've also got 29, which is open because I had to pull the block out for my little project, and then 30, and I'm not even sure what all this is, but I'm sure we'll find out here soon enough. So let me get everything over to the board and we'll start working. Okay, so here we have the infamous stage 28. I am very glad to have gotten this finally. It was still fun trying to redesign it and print it up on my own, but there's nothing like having the real deal. So, but let's go ahead and get all these parts out. A lot of little parts. And from what I've noticed, the next few stages, probably the next week or so, or a few weeks or so, we won't be using the car. We're just going to be building the engine parts. So let me, oh, that is gorgeous. So let me make sense of everything, and we'll get on to step number 1. Okay, we're actually going to combine steps 1 and 2, just for lack of work involved in each one. So the first thing we do is take our left bank cylinder heads and attach them onto these little posts here on this little bracket, just like so. And we're going to take a couple of the QP screws, which are these silver guys. And this is threading into plastic, so we just got to be careful not to strip them. I'm actually going to move up to a larger screwdriver. Less chance of slipping. Okay, that's good. And this guy here. Okay, so that actually takes care of step 1. Now step 2 is we got to cut off these little brackets here that are on these little sprue trees. Very rarely have I seen where we have to do cutting like this. They usually come pre-cut, but we'll go ahead and snip these off. Okay. Now the trick is knowing which is which, because we have to, let's see, invert this over, and we want the, okay, for this bottom one here, we want the larger hole on the left, but the longer post on the bottom, so that's not right, so it's going to be this one, I believe. Yeah, okay, so that's going to slip over that right there. And we're going to take an EP screw, which is the little black one, and it's going to go into the smaller of the two holes. So it's going to go into this guy here. Okay, and then this one, which is obvious, goes on like that. And we're going to screw into the small hole there. Okay, nice. Okay, so that takes up steps 1 and 2. Okay, the next step is to take this little bracket here, and it's going to go on the bottom side of what we just created. And these two holes right here are going to get screwed in with, and I'm not making this up, PP screws. PP screws. So we're going to take a couple of our PP screws and insert them. Let me get one started. We'll get the next one going here. Okay, so the PP screw did its job. Now you can start to see this little black square is what I was trying to replicate back when I was printing up my unit. And well, anyway, we got the right thing now. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is take these two side pieces, which are right here, and they're going to simply plug in, I don't believe they screw on, to these side pieces here. Okay, yep, this one has a half a hole because it's going to hit that head right there. So that's going to slip on. And this one is going to, let's see, I want to make sure I get the right orientation here. No, I think it goes the other way. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So it's getting a little beefier and bulkier. Okay, just a couple more steps to go on this stage. Now we're going to use the block that we've already been working on plus this new panel here. And it's going to go actually inverted. And these holes are going to line up on those posts. And is that right? Yeah, and we're going to take, once again, a couple more PP screws. To run into these center holes. Okay. Now the next step is to take our little, this is a work of art actually, Renault cover. And we got to take these little, I'm sure they're fuel fittings, but they're fittings of some sort. But we need to trim them off the tree. Make sure you pinch them so they don't go flying off on you. Okay. Now this is all pressure fit from here, so we want to take this unit. We want these two pipes sticking out to the left. That's the right orientation. And then these little posts right here under Renault, these two long skinny posts here and here, are going to fit into these tall posts inside the block. So we're going to line those up and then just pressure fit it down like so. Perfect. And then these little fittings are going to plug in. Now the manual shows them plugging in vertical, but I'm sure they can be rotated. No, maybe not. They've got little D-shaped posts, so they only go in one way. There we go. One, two, and this will be our final one. And that wraps up stage 28. That looks so much better than what I would have had. But anyway, all right, let's wrap that up and we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, stage 29 is in fact the stage that I had previously opened before. I just kind of taped it shut, but we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can just cut through the tape and empty everything back out and discard the carrier and sort through all these parts. We've got some RP screws, we've got some JP screws, and hey, look at that, we got some more PP screws. So let me figure out what we need for step one, and we'll go from there. Okay, step one is as simple as taking our two screws, and we're going to mount this. Now this is metal, but it's screwing into plastic, so we're still using plastic screws. But this part's going to fit actually in this orientation like so. Yep. And then run these two screws up the middle. Just like that. Okay, perfect. This is really starting to look like an engine. Okay, so for these pipes, we actually have to pressure fit this first set in, and let me make sure I get the right orientation. Okay, this pin here is going to plug into this, and it's a D shape, so it only goes one way. Okay, it looks like it goes like so. Well, it's not quite at the right angle. There we go. I think those three should be lined up a little bit better. They're off a little bit. What I'll do is once we get these attached to the engine, I may put a drop of glue in there just to hold that, because that is not, in fact that just sheared right off, so that's not good at all. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put some glue on that after we get these three. That was unfortunate. Yeah, so let me get these three installed to the side panels, to the engine, and then I'll have to glue that down. All right, let's let me rotate this way. We want to take these three plates. One of them's different. It's got a little notch with a hole in the corner. So we want to set these two, the outer ones, into this plate like that, and like this here. Okay, now this center one that we snapped, that's gonna go, yeah, into this one. Like that. Okay, Okay, now we want to get this panel here. Is this metal or plastic? I think it's plastic, yeah. So, and this is going to require the JP screws. So let me get the JPs out and ready. I think we're going to need 3 of them. And let's see, what orientation do they go into here? Okay, from the back side. So what I'll do is I'll attach the outer 2 first. Get a smaller screwdriver. These are tiny little screw heads. Okay, so that's going to thread into the pipes at this angle. A little bit of an awkward angle here, but hopefully the threads will kind of align things for us. Yeah. Okay, now the tricky one. Let's get this one centered and attached. Okay, I'm gonna trim this piece off a little bit. It's sticking up and it's not gonna allow us a smooth flush fit. Okay, and that's already flat. Okay, let me get some glue here. Actually, yeah, we'll use this. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue. Right there on the tip. I'm going to take our part, fit it into position. Trying to get that to go a little straighter. There we go. I'll put another little dab of glue in there. Okay, and I'm going to hit it with a quick blast of kicker, so it'll dry quicker. So I think we avoided crisis there on that part snapping out on us. Not the best fitting piece, but we got her in. Okay. Adapt and overcome. That's what we got to do in this hobby. Okay, and now we want to take a couple RP screws. Let me pull them out here. These are going to be silver guys. I'm going to take 2 of them, and we're going to attach this stack of pipes to our engine block. Let me see if I can figure out which direction it goes. Yeah, it goes. So it's going to be this upper right hole and this lower middle hole. So let me get this going here. All right, that looks good. Okay, everything's straight, everything's aligned, just as it should be. Okay, and I believe we've got one more step, and this is going to be a pressure fit, but we want to take this little silver piece here, and it's going to mount into these two holes right here, which talk about an awkward little angle. Let's see if I can get these in without knocking the pipe off. Yeah, well, not yet. There it goes. Okay, it actually made a snap sound. Okay, cool. Okay, well that wraps up stage 29. Okay, stage 30 is its own thing. So I got to put the engine that we've been working on, put it aside, and now we just pull out all the parts that we're going to need for this stage. No screws on this one, so everything's going to be pressure fit. Looks like we've got some fuel lines and some fittings. Looks like another little tree that we're going to have to cut parts off. In fact, one part already, number 1, so they're numbered 1, 2s, and 3s. One of the ones came off already. But we got 6 little tubes here, or pipes. And this is going to be the right bank intake manifold. I was able to get that information at least. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is probably cut these off, but I don't want to cut them off and separate them. So let me figure out which ones we need first, and then we'll come right back. Okay, upon further reading, I discovered that numbers 1, 2, and 3, according to our little, here I'll show you the tree. 1, 2, and 3 are all the same. So I was able to cut them all off and just kind of cluster them all together. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is take this larger part here and this little pipe here, and these little D-shaped posts are going to mount into these D-shaped holes. And again, no screws, just pressure fit. Okay, so got them on. And then we want to take these little, they're basically fuel injectors, and we want to put all 6 of them into these 6 holes down here. Okay, so let's get the right orientation here. Okay. You want them so the little leg is aiming in kind of at a 45-degree angle. And then like this one's going to be aiming into the right, and then left, and then right, so on and so forth. Take the end of a screwdriver to help press those in. Let me kind of go back over the other ones. There we go. Okay. I'm fortunate I've got small hands, but I can't imagine if you've got big hands and fat fingers. I really feel for you, because this would be tricky. Okay, last injector coming up. Okay, Now we get to take these little fuel fittings and put them over one end of the injector and then the other one up into this little manifold. Just like that. Actually, that looks pretty cool. And we're going to do all 6 of them. Two more to go. Final one. There we go. And that wraps up that stage. That's actually a pretty cool looking piece. Well, that wraps up that episode. We were able to do 3 stages this time. We were able to get 28, 29, and 30 completed. And through all that, we were able to get these very cool looking engine pieces put together. And this engine block is already building up its weight. This feels heavy already, so this car is going to be massively heavy when we're done with it. But again, we're back on track now. Sorry about the 3 stages this episode, but we had to make up for the lost stage in the last episode. So I think we're back on track. Stages 31 and 32 will be next episode, so stay tuned for that one. God bless everybody. We'll see you next time.